They thought sealing my cabin gate would break me, but they never checked whose land their only road crossed. What followed wasn't shouting, lawsuits, or threats, it was silence, panic, and karma rolling in on 4 flat tires. If you love war revenge stories where arrogance meets cold legal reality, hit subscribe now. I bought the cabin for silence, for the kind of quiet that hums in your ears after city noise finally drains out of your bones, a weathered cedar place tucked against a ridgeline with one gravel road curling down the mountain like a lazy snake, and the realtor had said the words twice: private land, private access, deeded easement through my parcel. So when I closed, I didn't think twice about the small metal gate already there, mostly decorative, a suggestion rather than a barrier, because I wasn't trying to keep people out, I just wanted to know when someone wandered in, and for the first year it was perfect: deer tracks, snowfall, the occasional hiker who waved and moved on, until the valley below filled up with identical roofs and pristine mailboxes and an HOA that styled itself as the Ridge Crest Community, though everyone just called it the Ridge, and suddenly the gravel road I'd driven for years had a sign at the bottom saying WA property no trespassing, which I assumed was a mistake until a woman in white sneakers and a clipboard marched up my drive one morning and informed me that my gate violated community standards, that my cabin was within their sphere of influence, and that for safety reasons they would be installing a standardized security gate at the road entrance. I told her calmly that my land predated their development, that the road crossed my parcel, that I had a recorded easement in my favor, and she smiled the way people do when they've already decided you're wrong, told me I could take it up with the board, and left. And a week later I came back from town to find my gate chained shut with a bright red wall lock and a laminated notice stating that unauthorized access was prohibited pending review, which is the moment annoyance curdled into something colder, because they hadn't just inconvenienced me, they'd touched my property, and I cut the chain, drove through, and thought that would be the end of it, until the sheriff called 2 days later asking why I'd vandalized WA equipment, and when I explained, he paused, asked for my parcel number, and said he'd call me back. And when he did, his tone was different, cautious, telling me this was a civil matter, which is code for someone messed up, and sure enough the next escalation came fast, because the WA didn't back down, they doubled down, installed a heavier gate above my driveway where the road narrowed between 2 rock cuts, effectively sealing me in, and they sent a certified letter fining me for tampering. So I did what I should have done earlier, I pulled every document, the original survey from the 70s, the timber access rights, the recorded easement granting ingress and egress, in perpetuity, and the quiet clause that made my jaw tighten. The road itself, all the way to the county line, sat squarely on my land for nearly a mile, meaning the Ridge's fancy subdivision, with its manicured lawns and private security, had exactly one way in and out, and it wasn't theirs. And here's the twist they never saw coming. I didn't rush to court, I didn't threaten, I didn't argue, I simply stopped maintaining the road, which I was legally obligated to do only for my own use. And the first heavy rain of autumn did the rest, carving ruts, softening shoulders, and when the HOA's security truck slid sideways and blocked the passage, emergency vehicles couldn't get through, trash pickup turned around, delivery drivers refused the route, and suddenly the Ridge discovered that living on a mountain with one access point isn't charming when that access depends on a man they'd decided to bully, and the board president, a retired executive who'd never been told no, came knocking, demanding I restore access immediately. And I asked him politely if he'd like to remove the illegal gate first. He scoffed, said the wall would sue, so I showed him the survey, the easement, the county acknowledgement that the road was private, mine, and watched the color drain from his face, because the real twist wasn't that they'd sealed me in, it was that by doing so they'd admitted control over a road they didn't own, exposing themselves to liability if anyone got hurt. And then the winter storm hit early, dumping snow heavy enough to bring down branches, and I plowed my driveway and stopped at my boundary, leaving the rest untouched. And when the power went out in the Ridge and residents tried to leave, they found the gate locked, the road impassable, and no legal authority to force me to open it, because easements grant rights, not ownership, and theirs flowed the wrong direction. Panic set in, tempers flared, a woman tried to cut the lock and was cited for trespass, and finally the HOA's attorney called, not blustering now, but careful, asking for a temporary accommodation, and I agreed, on conditions: the gate removed, written acknowledgement of my ownership recorded with the county, a maintenance agreement funded by the WA, and a public apology in their newsletter rescinding all fines and notices. They tried to negotiate, I declined, because leverage is only leverage if you're willing to use it, and the next morning the gate was gone, the road graded, the apology printed, and the Ridge learned an expensive lesson about maps and manners, but the final twist came months later when a wildfire broke out on the far slope and evacuation orders rolled down the valley, and county officials coordinated traffic through my road, thanking me by name for cooperation, while the HOA board quietly dissolved and rebranded under new leadership. And now when I sit on my porch listening to the wind move through the pines, the gravel road lies open, no signs, no locks, just a reminder that silence is powerful, paperwork is sharper than anger, and if you try to seal a man in without knowing whose land you're standing on, you might just discover you've locked yourself in instead.